According to a new report, Donald Trump is telling people that he is going to be reinstated as president in August. According to a report. According to a tweet from Maggie Haberman of the New York Times. So forgive me if I don't take it all that seriously. But I do want to talk a bit about these conspiracy theories because it's not just the New York Times that's putting out this tweet that Trump thinks is going to happen. I don't actually think Trump thinks that because the New York Times is full of it. But there are some other people who believe that there's going to be evidence and something's going to happen. And I'm just so tired of all this, man. Now, there's a lot to talk about and go through because there's some weird stuff that we can bring up. And I want to address some of these weird conspiracies that are popping up, namely one about Biden and the wreath ceremony on Memorial Day. There are people saying that over the past, 5 presidencies or more, there's a specific ceremony. And now there's videos popping up where like the military guys at the ceremony aren't wearing any military rank. And it's weird. And Biden doesn't actually do the ceremony. And because of that, people have drawn ridiculous conclusions. So let me debunk the conspiracy theories to the best of my abilities and to the degree to which they can be debunked. Because in the end, the media will tell you lab leak theory debunked conspiracy. Lab leak isn't a conspiracy, like saying, that something leaked from a lab isn't saying a bunch of people colluded on some secret crime, just saying an accident happened and people don't know about it. And we think that's might be what happened. But the media likes to tell you definitively, here's a thing. It's the opposite of what the other group are saying. So here's what I mean to say. We get these videos, we get these claims, and you get conspiracy theories on one side saying Donald Trump will be reinstated, conspiracy theorists on the other side saying it's not true, Trump's crazy. And the reality is probably not, but people shouldn't draw definitive conclusions on things for which there is no evidence to stand up on. The likelihood of Donald Trump being reinstated, I mean, it's physically possible, like, something could happen. The probability is ridiculously and absurdly low, probably well beyond any lottery ticket's chance of winning $1 million or the Powerball. But I mean, physical reality would allow it. So what can I say? Probably to a great degree, not reality. But let's go through this because we got this report coming from Business Insider and a couple other outlets. Trump is telling people he thinks he'll be reinstated. Okay. Maggie Haberman, yes, ever the bastion of good journalism, tweets, Trump has been telling a number of people he's in contact with that he expects he will be reinstated by August. No, that isn't how it works, but simply sharing the information. She said, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It is happening as he faced the possibility of an indictment from the Manhattan DA. They say Haberman, who broke some of the biggest stories of the Trump administration and has been covering him for decades, added that Trump has been laser focused on election audits in states whose results he is still trying to overturn. The anti-democratic conspiracy theory has been bubbling up in fringe conservative media for several months. It has no basis under the Constitution or any legitimate legal framework. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell has been a prominent proponent of the theory. The former Trump attorney Sidney Powell also floated the idea at a QAnon conference over the weekend. Okay. It's just patently absurd. Unlikely beyond any reasonable expectation of what life will be. But I will point out, it is a mistake to say when she says there's no constitutional or legal framework. Yeah, there was no legal framework by which the founding fathers severed from Great Britain. They just said, y'all, we're doing it. And they were like, you can't, it's illegal. And they were like, we don't care what you think is legal. So just because there's some kind of legal framework for a thing doesn't mean a thing can't happen. Let's talk about what can happen. Well, in physical reality, Donald Trump can walk in a building and people can just say he's the president. So it's physically possible, just not physically probable. They go on to say, the anticipation of a Trump reinstatement on a certain date could spread further among the most dedicated Trump supporters. The calls to help overturn the 2020 election on January 6th, for example, gained steam through a pro-Trump bus tour by a fringe group and led to the insurrection at the Capitol. So let me tell you why I bring this up. Normally, I would just ignore the unhinged rants of someone like Maggie Haberman. But when she says this, and maybe there's an iota of truth, Mike Lindell has said certain things. I got that story. We'll pull it up. What if they're not saying that Trump is going to be reinstated? Like everyone's just going to be like, well, we've changed our minds. What if they're saying there's going to be some kind of insurrection? Now, maybe it's not probable. An insurrection is certainly more probable than this idea that the military will say, oh, we just realized Trump's actually the president. Maybe that's reality. Reality is We've already had people storm into the Capitol. Not all of them, just a decent amount of them. We have the FBI going after many of them, locking them up in solitary. Could it be that there is a conflict going on and we just don't know about it? When in past warfare, has the public been apprised of literally everything as was happening? No. In the Gulf of Tonkin, the incident in Vietnam that resulted in the United States entering the war, did we know what was happening? No. It wasn't until several decades later we learned the truth. So it's very possible things are happening that are hot conflict and chaos that we don't know about. And therein lies the big problem. A lot of people who don't know what's happening and have no reason to believe things are happening are saying things are happening, be it Maggie Haberman in the New York Times or be it fringe conspiracy theorists. This is tiring. We just don't know. Let's read more. They say a podcast from former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has amplified the conspiracy theory as Lindell and others have gone on the show to promote it with minimal pushback. The podcast is influential among GOP lawmakers hoping to avoid a primary challenge while seeking election. Primary, all of them. Who cares? Trump's lawyer and other Republicans filed dozens of lawsuits related to the election. All failed. I don't think it's fair to say they all failed. There may have been some positive results. Depends on what your definition of failed is. I know in the lower court in Pennsylvania, the judge ruled that on the merits, the Republicans might actually win, but the Supreme Court on different grounds shot them down. So technically you could say it failed, but there are some victories that matter. Okay, so Maggie Haberman is tweeting this and, people are telling her, yeah. Who cares? They're making stupid jokes, whatever. It's tiring. But we have the story from Newsweek. So let me break down what people are saying. Newsweek says Mike Lindell stands by prediction Donald Trump will be back in the White House in August. I would be willing to bet a substantial amount of money that does not happen, but sure, let's read. They say, Mike Lindell of MyPillow, staunch supporter of Trump, isn't backing down from his belief that Trump will return to the White House before the next presidential election. Lindell has been one of the most vocal supporters of the baseless theory the election was stolen from Trump and that Joe Biden wasn't rightfully elected. Courts in multiple states have determined the Trump campaign didn't present sufficient evidence of fraud last November. But Lindell has maintained for more than a month, longer than that now, that the campaign now has enough evidence to overturn the election. He said, quote, I wouldn't be out there doing this if I wasn't 100% real, Lindell told Steve Bannon. We have 3 paths to pull down this election. I'm sticking to August of this year. That's my opinion. Okay, let me slow down for y'all. After the election, everyone said November 7th. That's when they announced that Biden won. They were like, just wait. In a few more days, they'll announce something. Just wait. They're going to file lawsuits. And I did. And the 14th, they sort of, we went through all these dates. They said, this is the day it's going to happen. Then when it didn't happen, they said, this is the next day it's going to happen. Then it didn't happen. And they kept saying it every single time. And now this is a nonsensical story. I don't even know why I'm doing a segment on it. I guess Maggie Haberman tweeted this, started a viral trend on Twitter, and now let's break down what people are saying. Are there weird things happening that I can't explain? Sure. Does that prove anything? No, it doesn't. It's the opposite of proof. It's more confusion. Let's read. They're going to mention. It's not the first time Lindell has floated an August deadline for Trump's return to office. In March, he told Bannon he would take evidence he allegedly obtained from January 9th at the Supreme Court, which previously he declined to take up Trump, blah, 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 blah. Bannon, who served in the White House, yes, we get this. Despite losing the election, sure, okay, fine. On Wednesday, Lindell, who was sued by Dominion Voting Systems over his accusations that the company helped rig the election, pushed similar beliefs during an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Lindell applauded Kimmel for posting the interview in its entirety on YouTube. He also applauded the social media platform making available to viewers. He told Bannon that he believed 1 million people or more would view the interview and that it would be a game changer. As of Friday morning, more than 2.2 million people had watched it on YouTube. During an interview with One American News, Lindell said he believed God had his hand in the Kimmel appearance. It was divine appointment. I really think it's a turning point. When we look back and get to this great place we're going to be in, all of these things had to happen just the way they've been going down. The timing is perfect. Newsweek reached out to Lindell, but did not receive a response. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. All right. Here's what I want to say first and foremost. While I do not believe Donald Trump will be reinstated or anything like that, I think Joe Biden won the presidency. It's certainly not going away. There are still many people pushing these ideas. Perhaps many of them are fringe. I was very critical of many of the Q people in my previous segment on this channel because it's disrupting the work of actual investigators trying to help make sure our elections are secure. Here's what you should do. You should go to timcast.com, become a member. It helps support my work. And when you do, it allows us to have conversations YouTube does not allow. So go and check out timcast.com, and you can see a members-only segment with Matt Brainerd talking about voter fraud. He says, buckle up for the results of the Arizona audit outcome. Now, I don't know what it means. Go watch the segment. That it's not definitive on anything. In no way am I saying that, Trump won or anything. I'm saying listen to what Matt Brainerd has to say. We talk about things YouTube doesn't allow us to talk about. And it makes me wonder, it makes me wonder about some of what might occur, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of any of this. I never will be. Sure, maybe like with lab leak theory, the media will have a turnaround and then things will change. I just really doubt it. Lab leak was different. All right. Last year with COVID, there were some people saying that perhaps COVID leaked from a lab. I made several videos about it and said, honestly, we just don't know. I'm not going to say it's definitive because I don't know. I went at the lab. I don't know who works there. I just know that the media's reported some questions. But the media said it was a debunked conspiracy theory. They shouldn't have. They had no reason to believe it was debunked. There was no evidence. What they were doing was they were saying, our experts say this is true. So could it be there's some kind of conflict we don't know about? Maybe. Could it be that in fourth and fifth generational warfare, it's a war for your mind and something's going on we don't know? Sure. I don't know, and you don't know, and these people don't know, and these conspiracy theorists don't know. But I do want to address some of the weird things that fuel this stuff. I give you, from the New York Post, what should be a boring news story, but does leave me with some questions. The New York Post says, Biden lays wreath at tomb of the unknown soldier during Memorial Day ceremony. But he didn't. And this is weird. Now, this story is leading to a lot of conspiracy theories, ones that I think are really dumb. Okay, let me break it down for you. In this article, they say that Biden lays the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, which is a traditional Memorial Day ceremony, but he didn't lay the wreath. Normally what happens is someone, a military service member, carries the wreath of the president puts his hands on it, they walk backwards, and then put the wreath on the stand. That's the ceremony. In this instance, Biden did not do that. There's many explanations for why he did not do that. The simple one is that COVID. They're paranoid. They're not wearing masks or anything, so maybe COVID doesn't really make sense. Because if they were going to change the ceremony for COVID, would they wear masks? Well, they're vaccinated, so they're not wearing masks anymore. I don't really have an explanation for why they changed the ceremony and why no one's really reporting it, nor why the New York Post is saying that Biden laid the wreath when he didn't do it. And you can watch in the video, he didn't do it. That's it. You can see, here we go. I play these clips. There it is. You're watching. For those that are listening, I'll explain it. Biden just steps forward. No one walks the wreath back. Biden doesn't walk the wreath back. He just walks up and then puts a hand on it. And that's it. I have no idea why. Now, I'll tell you one thing, though. The conspiracy theories are ridiculous. The conspiracy theories, I kid you not, people believe that before this video came out, the real president actually laid the wreath, and the military made sure it was laid by the real president. Seriously? That's what they think? Okay, I'm sorry, man. I just can't with this stuff. It gives me a headache. And they think that what Joe Biden is secretly working with Trump and Pence, and that they think Trump's really the president for real, dude. All right. Sure. Is there a plausible scenario? Probably not. But is there a physically possible scenario? Okay, maybe there's escalating conflict and we're going to go to war with China. So Trump's in hiding and they're pretending like Biden's the president, I guess. But really, man, look, I can say I wish we lived in some movie-esque action reality of like crazy conspiracies, but it's just life is boring. The simple answer is Biden doesn't respect the military, and they changed the ceremony. Make the least amount of assumptions when you talk about this stuff. It's weird, I think so. That the New York Post says he laid the wreath when he didn't, and that it's a change of the ceremony. But I don't see much there other than Biden is disrespectful. That's it. I don't know what people want to hear. I don't know what they think is happening. And maybe, if anything, if there was going to be a conspiracy, it's that Biden just does these things to make people freak out, because they do. And that's one of the big problems. I mentioned the Matt Brainerd segment at timcast.com because I do think you should definitely go check it out. You should definitely support, our work by becoming a member at timcast.com. But that's the real work. They're doing an audit in Arizona. They're doing an audit in some states. We don't know what we're going to find. I don't know what they'll find. Rumors are circulating. They'll find that they already have found something. Sure, okay, well, present the evidence and I'll take a look at it. For now, do the work. The Democrats sure don't want the audits to happen. They're fighting tooth and nail, and I'm not surprised. In the media, they're saying it's a partisan sham and, whatever. That's the real work. The real work is arduous. It's difficult. There's political interests. And then I look at this weird conspiracy stuff. Maggie Haberman, why is she putting this out? Well, when she says it, it means the mainstream media is pushing out this narrative that Trump believes he'll be reinstated. You then get stories like this from the New York Post, and what happens? Instead of providing financial resources to people like Matt Brainerd and to groups that are actually investigating election security issues that are legitimate and plausible, you get internet forums believing fringe nonsense. Now, maybe that's it. Maybe they're just fringe. Maybe it's just fringe nonsense, and we shouldn't focus too much on it. Maybe that's the trick. Maggie Haberman tweets this out so that I make videos about this instead of focusing on the real issues. But I don't know. No, I think she just gets a kick out of putting out these ridiculous stories because people click on it, because the people who are obsessed with Trump will watch it. I'm sorry. I don't think there's a reality in which Donald Trump becomes president in August. I don't think he's actually the president. And I just think Biden is a bad president. Because think about this. This is what people are saying. They're saying that some people believe Trump is the real president. Like there was an Ipsos poll. I think it was 53% of Republicans believe that Trump was the real president. So you're saying all of the bad things that are happening right now are Trump's fault? Okay? Like the economy is crappy and there's a mass printing of money and it's Trump's fault. Is that what you believe? Or what's the conspiracy that Biden's the front man so that Trump can do things that are unpopular? I'm sorry, man. There was a weird conspiracy theory before that Biden flipped and was secretly working with Trump and just other. Sure. Believe what you want to believe, I guess. I need evidence. Show me evidence something is true. The reality is, it's just sometimes you don't win elections. Sometimes presidents are bad. Okay? Joe Biden, Jimmy Carter, Buchanan. There you go. He's a bad president. He's doing bad things. Bad things happen because of it. And the ceremony is just more evidence that Biden is just a bad president. That's it. Kamala and Biden didn't do the ceremony. They certainly weren't worried about COVID. They weren't wearing masks. There it is. A lot of people are just, I think they read too much into it. There's this viral tweet right here. Well, I shouldn't call it viral. It's got 5,000 views. And they're like, you can't make this up. Proof that the military is in charge of 5 different president, same routine except Biden, whatever that means. And in the video, you can see Biden doesn't do the ceremony like normal. In other videos, there it is. This is what it looks like. Trump, he puts his hands on the wreath. They walk backwards. The wreath is put on the stand. Same thing with Obama. Same thing with Bush. Same thing with Clinton. And there you go. And then with what is it, Bush Sr. or Reagan? So what do people think is happening? I just don't get it. Maybe we just have a crappy government. Maybe things are falling apart. Maybe that's really is the easiest thing to say. The one thing I can tell you that I believe is that we're in the middle of some kind of cultural and societal collapse. Maybe it's going to lead to a civil war. I don't know. People are fleeing blue areas and moving to red areas, and people in red areas that are Democrat are moving to blue areas. We had a story about a woman in West Virginia who moved to Oakland to be a teacher. So maybe what's really happening is things are just decaying and falling apart. Maybe the ceremony on Memorial Day is different because people just stopped caring. Maybe we've become a nation of completely self-interested individuals. Maybe that's it. Or maybe you live in the Truman Show and aliens are control everything and, we're secretly in an alien zoo or whatever you want to believe. I need evidence or I'm not going to believe anything. Pixar didn't happen. So is the presidency going to change in August? Probably not. And just like with the rest of the conspiracy theories, what's going to happen is they're going to move the date back. Well, it can't be August. It has to be changed because it has to be in line with the actual date, which is November. And then when November doesn't happen, well, we mean January. And then they're going to say, well, we mean March. And I wish people would spend more of their energy focusing on the actual investigations into election security issues. Because in New Hampshire, we saw something bad. The machines were misreading ballots. That's official. That's from, I think, like ABC News. Local outlets are reporting that. If people were focused on that stuff, maybe we get some substantive change. In the end, I'll tell you, I can't see the future. Sometimes I'm wrong. I have no problem saying that. You get a lot of people being like, Tim predicted a 49th state landslide for Trump. And I'm like, well, I predicted with conditions. Like if Trump, decriminalized pot and appointed Tulsi Gabbard as a national security advisor. I mean, those were far-fetched ideas to begin with. I did say, however, that I think the riots could lead to a major landslide for Trump. And I was completely wrong. Joe Biden ended up winning. Why? I think people live in bubbles. I think people live in bubbles. I think a lot of the people who believe these things about Trump haven't talked to people from blue areas. I talk to people all day, people I've known for a long time, who have never cared about politics, who came out and supported Biden. And then Biden ended up winning. Could it be that there's something I don't know? Yes, of course. Could it be that come August, something crazy happens? Sure, probably. I don't know. But right now, I will tell you this. There's no reason to believe crazy, unhinged nonsense. When it comes to the investigation by people like Matt Brainerd, there's reason to suggest that something may be there. Will something come of it? I have no reason to believe it will. The Supreme Court doesn't seem to be on Trump's side anyway. So maybe it's a Manhattan Project level project and something crazy will happen. For the time being, ignore the fake news, the New York Times, the Maggie Habermans, these people who pump out this crazy nonsense. And I'll tell you, spend some time with your family, get outside, get away from the cities. This morning, I had for breakfast, I had some farm fresh eggs, fresh from a chicken's butt. Okay, not really from its butt, but you get the point. We had some farm fresh eggs. Just right from the chicken city. Cleaned them up, cracked them open. Over easy. Now that's what life's all about. This crazy unhinged nonsense. The internet's making people go nuts, man. Just chill out, have a good time, sit back, keep your ear to the ground, but remain calm. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.